Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday.
Welcome back to another Shit Talk Fridays. I'm Gina.
And I'm Evo.
And tonight we have a special guest with us, Chloe. She's actually been with us quite a few other times before, but she was insistent on being right in like the shot in my chair today. And I'm not going to refuse her because she is the OG of this house.
Yeah, she is. She's the mama queen kitty.
And tonight we're drinking, I don't know, Evo, tell us what it is because I didn't pick this wine tonight.
Tonight we're drinking Decoy. This comes from a recommendation from a good friend of mine, Christian. He recommended this wine. Says that he really enjoys it. And shout out to Costco for having the super discount on liquor. All right. I don't know if any of you guys know, but we just found out not only do one, Costco sells liquor, but two, they got that shit on discount. Because the one by us,
there's only a select few of Costco's that sell
Right.
liquor, not all Costco's.
So you need to find the one that sells alcohol because the one by us that we regularly shop at doesn't sell alcohol. And so we found out through a neighbor that there.
No, we found out through shout out to Jen.
Okay, I'm sorry, but we were speaking to our neighbors about it too because they go there. Andrew and Cassandra, they remember we spoke to them about it.
Oh, I don't remember that conversation,
Okay.
but
I've spoken to them about it.
I do remember we initially found out about it through
shout out to Jen,
my friend Jen.
Yeah, absolutely, with the plugging us in. And when we went there, I was just like blown away. I couldn't believe the size. Well, I mean, listen, some of the stuff because Costco has their own brand, like
the Kirkland brand,
the Kirkland alcohol brand, and I'm telling you, when those alcohol bottles, it's like Costco supersize. It's literally Costco supersize, but super dumb cheap. So anyway, we racked up on some bottles of wine and some tequila, and we're good. We're good for a while now. So this is Decoy. I'm gonna try it out.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's a Cabernet?
Yes, Cabernet
Okay.
Sauvignon, 2000.
Cheers to everybody in the audience tonight for joining us. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yes. Very nice. I like that.
It's very flavorful.
Yes.
It's very robust. Like it's the taste is intense. Like it's not subtle at all.
And then it ends with like a little bit of dryness.
Yeah. But it's very wet when you first drink
I like that. It's got like a really good balance of all different types of characters.
Yeah, I have to drink it a little bit more to understand like the exact notes that are in
Maybe
it.
it needs to breathe a little bit.
Not that I know shit about any of that stuff. I never know what's in it.
We're getting our
sommelier on.
We're getting our sommelier on.
So tonight we decided to talk about some TV and film.
Yeah.
Because more recently we've become really immersed in some really great TV. And I'm also really excited about the new release of the trailer of The Matrix 4 Resurrections. Thus my hairstyle in paying homage to one of my favorite characters in the Matrix trilogy, now to be, I don't know, what do you call it when there's 4 films? Because the trilogy is 3.
Yeah. Is it called like a saga?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That's probably exactly what it is.
Yeah. So now it's the Matrix saga.
Well, they're just calling it Matrix 4 Resurrection. So do we want to start off the night with Matrix, or do we want to start off the night with our TV show that we wanted to talk about?
However you want to do it. I mean, you already opened it up with Matrix, so
okay.
Let's go with it.
Getting into a little bit about the Matrix 4, I hope everyone, if you haven't seen it, I give you the permission to step off of the live for a hot second, open up another window, and go and check out the Matrix 4 Resurrection trailer.
Wow. Go ahead, keep talking.
Okay.
I got some loading to do right now.
Okay,
Everything's gone.
Sorry, you distracted me for a
Sorry
second.
about that.
So anyway, if you haven't seen, okay, don't worry about it. Huh?
Everything's gone. Everything I love.
Okay, just don't worry about it. So if you haven't seen the trailer yet, I would highly recommend it if you are in fact a Matrix fan of in any form. I really feel like when the original Matrix came out, it was a fucking phenomenon. Like
Yeah.
there were things in the film, the original film, The Matrix, that no audience had ever seen before. Come to find out, I didn't know this. Excuse me. I don't know why. I feel like it's a setup. The minute I get here,
Every time we
I
go
get
live,
something itchy on my face. It's really like it's
Without a fail.
I'm getting set up. Okay, so in the original Matrix, the first film was the highest grossing adult rated film, R-rated film in history, into more recently Deadpool.
Wait a minute. Even more than Titanic?
Titanic wasn't rated R.
Oh, okay.
I said rated
Excuse
R.
me. Excuse me. All right.
So it was the
Interesting.
highest grossing rated R film in history into recently Deadpool.
I can see that.
I mean, of course, I could.
But the Matrix was just that shit was next level. When the Matrix came out
Yeah.
and they had that
Yeah, that's
that's like the iconic scene from like the
Yeah.
trailers when it first came out, that I know that was like the fucking, it's like engraved in my memory.
when people saw Trinity do that for the first time. When I tell you, I froze in the fucking movie theater.
Yeah.
I froze with her. I was literally like, what is this that I'm seeing? I have never seen anything like this in my entire life. And I am a huge fan of all things martial arts,
Yeah.
kung fu movies, martial arts TV shows. I will go to watch a movie just because people are getting their ass kicked in the movie. Like, I personally don't even care about the storyline sometimes. I mean, the storyline's a plus.
I enjoy some good fight scenes too.
Yeah,
Without a
so I initially went into seeing The Matrix because I saw that the potential action that there was going to be. But when I tell you, my socks were fucking blown off. So now you have this new one that's coming out that I feel like has a lot to live up to. And did you know that the last Matrix, when the last Matrix took place, was almost 20 years ago?
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
To be exact, 19 years. So, like, if that doesn't make you feel old, I don't know how old everyone is in the audience, but when I tell you, when I saw that number, I was like, what?
Damn, that kind of hurt.
Yeah. Almost
So
20
years of my
ago.
life have gone by since the last Matrix.
The last Matrix.
That shit feel like it was just a couple years ago that I saw the last Matrix.
Well, more recently, I just rewatched all of them,
Okay.
and you watched them with me.
Right.
It was like during
Maybe
the
that's why
pandemic.
it feels like I just watched it.
So yeah, like I said, I was a huge Matrix fan. I actually have all 3 of the DVDs, including the Animatrix, which was a comic series that the Wyckowskis came out with that gave like a it was like a prequel to the Matrix. Like, it kind of gave you like a little bit of an insight into the world prior to Neo. So like, that's how hardcore I was.
And you're big on that stuff. You're big on
Yeah.
like getting like the backstories on stuff that you like to watch.
Yeah. So when this trailer came out, I think a lot of people, the first question that came to everyone's mind was,
was when you see the so when you watch the trailer, the first thing you notice, I mean, is that, all right, this looks dope, right? But then the second thing you notice is Morpheus is not Lawrence Fishburne. Morpheus is not Lawrence Fishburne.
well, Lawrence Fishburne is not Morpheus.
Finkel is Einhorn, and Einhorn is
It's
Finkel,
Finkel,
right?
yeah.
So yes, Lawrence Fishburne is not Morpheus in Matrix 4. I don't know if you guys knew this. I'm sorry, spoiler alert, but you're gonna find out anyway, so you might as well be from us.
Mm-hmm.
I had to stop the trailer. It was just, I didn't even realize it. I didn't know. I didn't even get any wind of it. It was just like, I had to stop all of a sudden and research what the hell happened. And from what I researched, he just wasn't invited. He doesn't even know why. And
yeah. I looked into some of the background story as to why Lawrence Fishburne was not invited back for the Matrix 4. And he really didn't have much to say
No.
other than the fact that he was just not invited back to play the character Morpheus. Now, that being said, Hector Diaz, welcome to the stream.
What's up,
Thank
Hector?
you so much for that love. Totally appreciate it. Did you yourself look into possibly why Lawrence Fishburne is not going to be seen in this film. And the reason why I ask this is because you do see Carrie Ann Moss, who plays Trinity. Jada Pinkett Smith is coming back as Niobe.
Right.
Obviously, Keanu Reeves is coming back as Neo.
Yeah.
I also read that the original actor, and it evades me right now, but the original actor that played Agent Smith, he was going to come back, but had conflicts with other films.
Oh, okay.
So
I was wondering about that too, but I wasn't as disappointed.
yeah, I mean, Agent Smith was a pivotal character in the original Matrix. But what I'm gonna say is this: is that do you have any inclination or do you have any thoughts as to why the original Morpheus is not going to be in this Matrix?
I have no idea. I really don't. All I know is that they casted. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna chop this up, but I'm gonna say it to the best of my ability. Is Yahya Abdul Mateen the second, which is he's more recently known for his role in Aquaman.
Correct.
And he was in Watchmen too.
Correct. The Watchmen series on HBO,
Yes.
not Watchmen the movie.
Not the movie, the series. Yes.
And hello, Mark. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
What up, Mark?
Okay. I looked a little bit into why potentially Lawrence Fishburne is not going to be playing Morpheus in this upcoming Matrix film. I'm going to say this. This is all fucking hearsay because the plot has not been released as to what exactly the Matrix 4 will be about. That being said, if you look back at the ending of the last Matrix, where Neo is left and how that plays out, he basically makes an agreement with the machines for them to stop attacking Zion, and that they make basically an agreement that the machines and the humans can coexist, and the Matrix will continue, but the machines will no longer attack Zion. And the pat is that the architect and the oracle say that anyone who wants to be unplugged from the Matrix, they will allow them to do that. So the architect will allow the machines to then unplug people. So it wasn't like so as taboo as it was to be unplugged. Okay. Neo is then at the end of the movie taken. He's taken away into the machine fields, and that is the end of Neo per se. It's possible that he is then plugged back in and then put back into the Matrix. But the Morpheus that we're seeing in the new Matrix is from another dimension. He's from another timeline, because if you remember, it's very confusing, but in the second Matrix, the architect talks about how there were 6 iterations of the Matrix previous to the one that Neo was currently in. So that being said, to say that there couldn't potentially be a new one that was created in a whole nother dimension. So the Morpheus that we're seeing is actually not the Morpheus that we know. It's a different Morpheus.
Okay, fine. I can bite on that a little bit, but I can bite on that in the context of following the storyline and why there may be a different character playing Morpheus, but there's no real concrete reason as to why Lawrence Fishburne is not playing Morpheus.
Yeah.
In this, and the fact that obviously he has been just. It's been a landslide of just nonstop, everywhere he goes. Why aren't you in the Matrix? Why aren't you in the Matrix 4? And in an interview, he said honestly he doesn't know. Yeah. He said you're gonna have to ask the Wyckowski sisters. And so there to me there's something bigger there. That you would just not invite or not even explain to such a prominent character. That not one are they not coming back, but two not even. You basically left them on read.
Listen, when
he's like, "Hey, am I gonna be in the next one?" They read, nothing, no response. I feel like that's what that was like.
They left Morpheus on red.
They left Lawrence Fishburne on red. Morpheus is still there, just not Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man. I can't imagine. I can't imagine that he did something to the degree where he would be treated like that. Well,
listen, we may not be able to see Lawrence Fishburne in Matrix 4. He sure as hell will be in John Wick 4, though.
Yes. So that's what he's focusing on next.
Yeah.
You know, he's putting a lot of his energy into that, and I think that that's going to be great, and I can't wait to see that.
So, okay. And Eddie, welcome to the stream. What's up, fam? Hector says you should watch Emergency Awesome on YouTube. He explains why in detail. It has to do with the storyline. So that's what I'm guessing. I think that the old Morpheus doesn't play into this new storyline. So that's potentially why.
Well,
but
I can see the Wyckowski brothers taking that and going for a ride with it. Like, hey, you know what?
You mean the Wyckowski sisters?
Yeah, sorry. I'm still like,
and let's be clear, only one Wyckowski is responsible for the Matrix 4.
Okay, well,
Lana Wyckowski is responsible for the Matrix 4, and we'll get into that a little bit later, why they were previously known as the Wyckowski Brothers and now the Wyckowski sisters, which is an interesting story to be said. And then Mark says he said that the director never asked him to play the role. What the fuck?
Exactly. So
and then Mark says I like the logic.
To me, that's a Hollywood like dirty power trick. Like, like
I'm moving over now that Chloe's gone.
It seems that Hollywood has a reputation for people in higher ups, just using their power by trying to end your career when you cross paths, you cross their path in the wrong way, or you don't agree to with like a request of theirs, and if they have that ability to like, unemploy you or affect your career, that seems to be like the ultimate stab in Hollywood. And so this looks like a stab to me. It really does. I definitely
do believe that that's like part of the speculation, is that like, for whatever the reason, he wasn't invited back. But what I will say is this: the fact that Morpheus is such a prominent character in the Matrix trilogy, to not invite him back, I think potentially can do damage to the film. If people are not willing to accept this new Morpheus character, because you have to understand, people get really invested in a movie. They get really attached to characters.
They do.
So for someone to feel like I didn't really fully enjoy the movie because the vision that I had for Morpheus is no longer that, it potentially could do harm to the film. So people could leave the theater. It's actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually going to be streaming too. People could leave watching this movie and tell their fellow, their friends and their colleagues, I didn't enjoy it. Morpheus wasn't in it. And that could fucking tank an entire movie.
Well, I'm sure it's going to have a significant amount of success. Will it be affected by Lawrence Fishburne fans? Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
But to the effect that there's still not a stellar cast, the movie's it's gonna survive. It's gonna go on. I don't like now if they tried to cast, a Neo, like,
oh well, no.
Yeah, like you're talking about, that's just straight suicide.
Unless it was a prequel, which would have been before Neo existed.
Yeah.
Or Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, that's the only way they could have did. But they would never been able to do the Matrix 4. It would have had to been the actual something prior too. Correct. And then every story backwards, from that point on.
Yeah, like how they did with Star Wars.
Exactly.
So, Eddie, yes, you are correct. My hairdo is a nod to Jada Pinkett Smith's a character Niobe. And honestly, Bantu knots are the shit. I've actually done these before. And then Mark says John Wick, May 27, 2022. So now that we're talking about release dates of movies, did you know that the release date for The Matrix 4 is a palindrome?
No, I didn't know that.
Do you know what a palindrome is?
Actually, I don't.
Okay.
Explain, please.
So a palindrome is when either a sequence, a number, or a word, if spelled forwards and backwards, is the same thing. So the movie's being released on 12/22/21. So if you write that backwards, it's still 12/22/21.
Oh shit.
And I think that kind of plays into like the whole Matrix thing and things being sequences, because the Matrix code is in zeros and ones.
Right.
So I think they kind of played into that a little bit, selecting that date, the 12/22. But what I will say is this, is that December is going to be fucking action-packed with movies, because The Matrix is coming out, Spider-Man is coming out, and then Dune is coming out. When I tell you Evo is not going to see me for the entire month of December, because I'm going to be glued to the fucking TV, because I recently actually just went to the theater to go see Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen. I'm also a huge Marvel fan. And like I said earlier in the hour, if the movie's got martial arts in it, sign me the fuck up. Like, you don't even, there's like no coercing me. Gina's there without a doubt. And I do believe that there are so many martial arts movies that I've watched that, you know, they're dubbed or they're like subtitles and the storylines are kind of whack, but I still will watch them all the way through just for the martial arts. So Shang-Chi gave an amazing storyline as well as beautiful choreographed martial arts. So I highly recommend it. But I will say this, it was my first time back into a movie theater after almost 2 years. I don't think I'll be returning.
No. You gotta do the private screening, right?
Oh wait, I'm actually wrong. That wasn't my first time.
Right, but you know what? That
was a little different.
Different circumstances. So we did a private screening
for Mother's Day.
For Mother's Day, yeah. We rented out a theater just for us.
Yes, and two friends, and we went to go see. Oh my God. I'm totally drawing a blank right now, but it was a very Oh my God. Okay, it'll come to me in a second.
Oh, it was the movie about. I forget.
It was about the movie about the Black Panthers.
Yes, Isaiah something, the Black Messiah.
Oh yes. Okay, it's please stop talking because it'll come to me.
But that one, yes, we went to go see that because you were really hyped about seeing that movie.
And Mark says, "Evil wearing the silk black for the Matrix, not LOL. Y'all too funny." Yeah. Yo, listen, we up here, we trying to do.
Believe it or not, these are jeans. It's the material that kind of makes it look silky.
It's
but yeah,
silky, it's
smooth, baby. Yeah, but it is a nod to the Matrix.
Yes, it definitely is a nod to, because again, I said I'm a huge Matrix fan. In addition to that, after watching the first Matrix, which was back in 2000 and 2002, the first time I saw the Matrix, or maybe it was the second one. I don't really remember which one it was. When I tell you I got up and went right to the goth club in the city and rocked my fucking goth ass out, feeling so inspired because of the clothing and the music in the Matrix.
I can't even imagine how many goth clubs that the soundtrack to that movie was rocking to.
What I find very interesting about the upcoming release of The Matrix 4 is the fact that I feel like the goth emo scene is resurging. And I feel like this movie's coming out right around that time. And I also feel like the original Matrix movies, they were released around a time where emo and the goth scene was very heavy. And I feel like people definitely
tied right in together.
Yeah, it just definitely tied into one. And I just find it so interesting that it's coming out again, 20 years later. So yeah, because listen, I'm going to say my age. I'm going to be 42. So 20 years ago, I was 22. So I said 2002, right? Interesting, too. That's also a palindrome, 2002, when the first Matrix came out. So 2002, you take away the 2 zeros, you have the 2 2s. Maybe that's why they decided 12, 22, 21. Anyway, I'm not gonna try to get too deep into that. So Hector says, you also have to remember Neo was not the first or the only. They said there has been many chosen ones, including some females. Also, be happy it's not Sean Connery playing Morpheus.
Oh shit.
Listen,
bro,
you are 100% right in that. And hello, Melissa, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us tonight. Yes, I did say that earlier in the live that the architect does say that there were 6 iterations prior to the Neo version of the Matrix. And it had a lot to do with his ability to be the one was because the previous ones had such a love for humanity where it didn't allow them to make a certain decision. And it was Neo's love for Trinity that allowed him to sacrifice himself and make that deal with the machines to save Zion and keep the Matrix intact. But what I will say is this. I can't be the only one that when the trailer first opened up, did you not say, is that John Wick? Did you feel like John Wick was in a Matrix movie?
You know what, though? Honestly,
don't front.
I feel like Keanu Reeves, he's got some major pull. Because he showed up and he was like, I'm not cutting my fucking hair. This is what it is. Because that's what he looks like every day. That's what he looks like on his interview. That's what he looks like riding a train. It's just his everyday look.
Well, for the last Bill and Ted that he did, which sadly I will say that movie was I don't even think we finished 20 minutes of that movie. I couldn't do it. He did shave his mustache.
Yeah, but that's nothing. That grows back in no time.
Yeah, well, Keanu Reeves to me is one of those actors that he's like a national treasure and he must like be protected at all costs.
When that video came out of him on the train giving up his chair to somebody, like, that was it.
I mean, he's actors are real people.
His story is crazy.
Yes, he does have a pretty crazy story.
Like, that shit blew me away when I heard, like, to think that someone like that with so much success that he's had has gone through so much trauma is mind blowing to me. It really is.
You'd be surprised.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But it's just like people like that, statistically, like they fade away. They fade away into dark. They have like depression problems. And they just fall into like a dark hole of maybe substance abuse and bad decisions and things like that. And I mean, like, it's just takes a unique type of person to to persevere through that type of situation.
Well, you'd be surprised how what a push you can get from trauma.
It's like a fight or flight type of thing, right?
Yeah, I believe it's a flight or fight thing, but I also think that sometimes when you experience severe trauma in your life, it sometimes can steer you in the direction to want to seek better.
Yeah.
And to not succumb to the pitfalls or the darkness of experiencing trauma.
Yeah.
I myself can speak directly to that. I had some interesting trauma growing up as a child, and I chose what you would consider taking the higher ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said to myself, I wanted a better life for myself. I didn't want my trauma to control my future. So I would think that maybe that's the way Keanu Reeves saw it. I can't speak for him directly, but understanding trauma, there are a lot of people that will take it and they will use it as fuel for their life.
Right. They will. They will. But again, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that you take somebody like that experienced that much trauma and then you put them in the league that Keanu Reeves is in, where he's like this, the center of attention. He's a A-list celebrity. He's got so much. I can't imagine the pressure that he's had to have put himself through, dealing with like doing all these movies and all the films that he's done. Like to go to have a level of success to that caliber coming from that type of lifestyle. I mean, it's just one extreme to the other, and it blew me away when I heard the story. I was just had no clue.
So Hector says you should look at the John Wick Neo memes. Hector, do me a favor. Our Instagram is linked into the bio. Please DM them shits.
We love them shits.
Because we all about the memes,
Yeah.
especially Gina. So were there any other like tidbits that you had about the Matrix?
No. I was I just could not get over the fact that Lawrence Fishburne was not going to be Morpheus. I mean, that just crushed me. I couldn't even really move past that after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I needed to find out why, and and once there was really no information on that, then I was like, what's he doing with himself? And you already spoke about that he's doing.
He's going to be in John Wick 4.
Wick, so I'm happy for him for that.
And truth be told, I was inspired by the John Wick movies to become a gun owner. Because I watched them, and like we said earlier, I like to really dive into movies. And I watched a lot of behind the scenes of Keanu Reeves and Halle Berry, their gun training for the last John Wick. And I was so inspired to become a gun owner and to have respect for a firearm.
Yeah.
So I cannot fucking wait for the next one. And I've also read that potentially that Halle Berry will get her own series because she has her own backstory of how she also became a hit person / assassin like John Wick. And will I sign up to see that shit? Yes, the fuck I will, because she's in her 50s and she puts some of these chicks in the industry to dust.
Halle Berry doing a damn thing.
So that being said, I wanted to kind of talk about some interesting things that I came across when looking into the Matrix. Being the fan that I am, there was a lot of conversation in the beginning when the Matrix first came out about the Wyckowski brothers, because there was some what's the word I'm looking for, what do you call it when like there's like bad news going around about people?
Rumors?
No, not rumors.
Speculations?
Yeah, there was speculation that the Wyckowski brothers potentially had stolen that script. Allegedly. I don't even know where that case went, but there was accusations that they had stolen that script from some other young writers. The entire Matrix,
It'd be like that sometimes.
the entire Matrix trilogy. I'm not going to say whether or not that is true or fact because I don't know the backstory in it, but I remember then reading a lot about the Wyckowski brothers and just really becoming submersed in like their whole life and like understanding where they came from. And I found out that, I found out a little bit about them, but when I went back recently to rewatch all of the Matrix movies, I then went back into that deep dive of, like the creators of the Matrix, the music of the Matrix. And when I went to go research it, it then said Wyckowski sisters, which fucking threw me for a loop. I was like, wait, what?
What?
So.
What the fuck is.
Okay, so.
Yeah, please explain because I'm a little blown away right now.
The Wyckowski brothers were Lawrence and Andrew Wyckowski. They were brothers 2 years different in age, one born in 1965, one born in 1967. They both are now trans women.
Really?
Yes. So initially, the first sister, Lana, who was Lawrence, transitioned completely back in 2010. And then the second brother then transitioned to a woman and came out fully as trans in 2016.
I feel like I should just put the pictures.
Yeah, if you can, we have.
I'm gonna. It's gonna be a little bit of adjusting. Right.
So open that up.
Yeah.
That's fine. So the first picture that you see here is of the Wyckowski brothers, and to the left, the smaller one was Andrew, and then the bigger fellow is Lawrence. So that was the initial Wyckowski brothers, and that's how they were seen when they filmed the original 3 Matrix movies. Now they are both fully transitioned to women, and this is Lana Wyckowski. She is the sole director of the Matrix 4. Her sister Lily had no part in the Matrix 4.
Oh.
Lily is actually off doing her own projects. But I just want to tell you why this really threw me for a loop. Because I don't know of any other sibling brothers that both transitioned to trans women.
Yeah. This is blowing me away right now. I'm like, this is deep.
Okay. I have one other picture for you. And pull that one up for me. And I'm gonna tell you what really fucking blew my mind.
No, I didn't get that one.
It should say. Really, Evo? I sent them all 3 to you.
No. Listen.
Okay.
Either they're here or they're not.
Okay.
Okay. You can't fake an airdrop.
I can't fake an airdrop.
You can't fake an airdrop.
Sure. Okay.
Send it over.
I'm gonna send it over.
Let's load it up.
Evil's hilarious because.
Listen, I live on the 5th floor. All right.
Excuse me.
You definitely did not send me that.
Okay. We're gonna. I wish there was a way to show old
Like an airdrop history.
Mhm.
Yeah, you need that right now.
Anyway, you can continue, Evo. Like if you.
I mean, if I'm just still blown away by the fact that these 2 brothers decided to transition into women together, and they're not twins, right? You're saying that they're 2 years apart, right?
2 years apart.
So you would think that, like, okay, twins, they have like this connection, this bond, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you said that they both transitioned into sisters, immediately, okay, I thought to myself, oh wow, okay, they're twins. But to say that they're not twins really kind of like makes me like intrigued about the relationship that they had as brothers. Like, there obviously was a really deep connection between the two of them. And I'm gonna pull them back up here. Like these two guys right here. There was a deep connection, and I want to actually put.
I don't think I can airdrop it to you. Is your Wi-Fi on?
Oh no, it's not.
Oh, it is. It says it.
No, it's not. It's not on. Oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah, it is on. So here, okay, so you can tell which one here was the one that transitioned. This is the one that has no facial hair. And yet, listen, legit looks like a woman. A very unique woman, but definitely a woman.
You're funny, Evo.
I'm trying to tread lightly here. Because I remember the last time I shot myself in the foot.
I'm gonna have to send it to you from here because I don't know what's happening there.
So what are you about to do?
I have to send it from here.
Yeah, Mark. I mean, I think they did a great job, you know. And this is and they both like fully transitioned.
So, regarding Lily, the sister that came out in 2016 as trans, I didn't find any information if she fully transitioned. It says that she came out as trans. I'm not 100% sure what exactly that means for her. So here.
What's up, George? Welcome to the stream. George says, like a woman, if you're in jail for 40 years. I guess. You know, she kind of reminds me of like your typical, like, you know, New York type of, you know, trendy. Okay, here we go. I got it.
Yes, and Mark, both of them transitioned to trans women. Now, I don't know. Transitioned can mean different things because there are some people that fully transition, which means that they get the surgery to
this is a very different picture.
Okay, I couldn't do the other one. So now here, in this picture that you see here, this is Lily to the left.
Lily's wearing
the dress,
okay.
And that was originally Paul or Andrew Wyckowski.
Andrew was the one with the mustache in the other picture, right?
Yes, the bigger fellow.
Yeah.
So this is Lily now. To the right of Lily, this is Lily's husband, who is a trans man.
Oh.
Which means that he used to be
a woman that transitioned to a man.
So they essentially are having a heterosexual relationship because I don't know for sure if Lily has gotten the full surgery and potentially removed her penis, because if she has not, then her husband, because a trans man, there's nothing that they can do to remove their vaginal, to my understanding, unless I'm wrong.
Don't they like take the vaginal canal and like flip it inside out?
I'm a little ignorant to this. I don't know, but I do know that there is a full medical procedure for men to women.
I'm wrong. Yeah, it's they take the penis and they flip it outside into a canal.
Correct.
All right.
I don't know if there's anything other than I know that women that transition to men, they remove their breast.
Yeah.
And then they get on hormones.
It seems like she still has breast here, from what I can. It looks like there's breast.
There's another picture that I've seen of them that you can't see them.
Okay. All right. Well,
when I tell you, I was so fucking mind blown by this because
this is interesting to say the least.
Because they are both trans people, one from male to female, and then the other one from female to male. But essentially, they're in a heterosexual relationship.
That's deep.
Because the husband, trans men can still bear children unless they have their reproductive system removed. So if Lily didn't remove her penis, she could impregnate her husband.
Oof. Oh, all right. This is getting deep. I mean, what the fuck?
And Hector says, boy, this conversation really took a turn.
Yo, bro, agreed. Agreed, brother. Cheers to that one. Shit. Wow.
And Mark is saying, yo, I'm trying to be all inclusive and understanding this, but yo, Mark, I 100% agree with you. And I'm going to be 100% honest. When I tell you that this shit blew my fucking mind.
Yo, I'm blown away right now. I didn't even know it was like that.
Because if Lily used to be a man, but then her current partner used to be a woman, but still has womanly parts, I don't understand how that attraction fully works. Someone needs to explain this to me. Like, I need to speak to someone from, like, maybe the trans community to really understand this.
I mean, maybe,
and I'm not
maybe
trying to sound like an asshole.
Maybe it's more of a mental connection than anything. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, to mentally, you have to be on in a very specific place to live this type of lifestyle, right? So I think that mentally, there's definitely a connection there, which is the most important when it comes to having a relationship like this.
I would probably definitely agree with you on that standpoint, Evo.
So I mean, you know, then everything else kind of, just as
and you could look at me.
Huh? Well, I have been looking at
I know, but I'm talking about right now.
Can I really? Have your permission? Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll get my permission slips out. So, all right, let's
You want to change gears?
Let's change gears. That was whoa, that was weird.
But did I blow your mind with that a little bit?
Yeah, you definitely did. Oh, so that was oof. All right.
That was heavy?
A little bit.
I listen, I'm not fully versed in the trans community, but when I tell you I found out like this phenomenon is so interesting to me because they were brothers, they both transitioned, and one of them is with a person that also transitioned.
All right. Yeah.
Evil's like, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm done with that. So, anything else we want to say about Matrix 4?
I cannot fucking wait.
Yeah, me neither. So, something else that we've been watching that we have been thoroughly enjoying.
Yeah, that we actually just finished.
And when I say thoroughly, that's literally for like a lack of a better term.
I would 1000% agree with that.
I am saying I am heavily invested into the show, and I'm so blown away. Mind blown that I have not seen this trending. Nobody's talking about it on social media.
Mm-hmm.
None of my friends are talking about it. None of our friends are talking about it. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but please tell me that somebody, one of our viewers, has seen or heard about the show Warriors on HBO Max.
Because if you haven't, do yourself a favor. And the minute you get off this live, go and watch the first episode.
And when I say Warriors, I'm not talking about like the movie The Warriors or like a show that came out based on the movie The Warriors. This is a totally separate show on its own, but it's called The Warriors. And it's an American martial arts crime drama.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you love martial arts, I'm just going to tell you right now, this is your show, right? And if you love crime drama, which I love them both. You know, I'm a crime drama type of person. I love First 48. And those are really not crime dramas, but there's definitely crime and there is drama and unsolved mysteries and
Evo, you're so cute. You're like,
there's crime and there's drama, but it's not like a drama series where it's like, some type of, whatever, scripted, whatever, and like, based on a true story. I'm talking about, I like the real deal. But so this movie Warriors,
it's not a movie.
It's not a movie. You're right. It's a show. Sorry. I was like thinking about when I just said we were talking about the movie Warriors.
It's a TV show on HBO.
Yes.
And by the way, real quick, Mark, thank you so much. He just donated and he said the next bottle is on us. Thank you so much for that donation. You were actually one of our first viewers to donate. So we salute you. Thank you so much. Maybe we'll give you some free insight onto our next episode ahead of time.
There you go. I like that. A little bonus material.
Mm-hmm.
So believe it or not, this martial arts crime drama it's based on the original concept of Bruce Lee.
Well, okay.
Right? It's a Bruce Lee concept.
it's actually based on Bruce Lee's writings. He actually did a treatment for this potential show back in the 70s.
Okay.
But back then, the industry was not willing to make an Asian as a lead. So it was
It was just shelved.
It was shelved, but it was shelved in the privacy of Bruce Lee's home. The writings were then discovered by his daughter.
Yes.
And then this is how this story then came to light.
And yes, Hector, it is based on Bruce Lee's script. Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to say this. If you are in any facet a martial arts fan, or you at one time had a love for kung fu movies, or if any sort of storyline that has a martial arts aspect to it, when I tell you that this is the best quality martial arts that I have seen in a TV show format in my entire life, and when I tell you I watch a lot of... What are you
I have a
doing?
thumbnail of the
Okay. I've watched a lot of martial arts, either, TV shows, films, and even anime. So when I tell you, like, I'm an avid fan of this type of genre, this show has blown me away, because for the first time, the show Warriors on HBO is not only giving you exemplary martial arts, it's giving you phenomenal storyline.
Oh my God.
When I tell you that Evo and I watched this show, literally holding the couch.
Yeah.
Like, there were moments in the show, ladies and gentlemen, where I did not breathe. Like, I held my breath because I was so fucking immersed in the world that they had created for me on this show, that I literally was just like so heavily invested in the characters that, like, what was happening to them on the show, I was like, I honestly would hold my breath, because I just felt like if this person either went left or right, it was going to be like the end all be all for me.
I can't tell you guys and girls or ladies, when was the last time that I've seen a show that I was literally episode, like on a cliffhanger? Every episode for 2 seasons, literally back to back to back, was mind blowing. And so it sets the story sets during the 1870s, during the in the late 1870s, during the Tang Wars in San Francisco. And Tang is a Chinese association for secret society, which is associated with underworld criminal activity, which was the Japanese, like, mafia, or not Japanese, the Chinese mafia.
Mm-hmm.
And so in San Francisco, there was a lot of Chinese people migrating or immigrating. There was a lot of people immigrating to California for a better life. There was a lot of stuff going on in China that, for many reasons, many different people were leaving. And a lot of Chinese people were settling in San Francisco. What ended up forming was, where we have it here in New York, they have now over there in San Francisco, is Chinatown. And along with regular people that were, immigrating over for just a new life, you had criminals coming over.
Mm-hmm.
And people that, just were very bad people. And you had Chinese mafias that formed in San Francisco. And what you see here is the girl, her name is Mai Ling. She immigrated over and married some
Tang leader. Or Tang warlord,
yeah,
whatever you want to
Tang
call
warlord. And then, she was just living her life over here. And then her brother, which is the guy next to her, which is Assam, he immigrates over, like, some years later.
Looking for her,
right? Because she fled China.
For multiple reasons. Let's not give away the whole plot.
She fled China for multiple reasons, right? So he comes looking for her and comes to find out that she doesn't want to be found. And so when he comes over, he actually gets sold as a slave, not a slave. What did he get sold of? As a worker to the hatchet men, which was the Hapway,
mm-hmm.
right? The Hapway Tong.
I don't want you to give away the whole
I'm just describing the story here a little bit. I mean, I'm not
Okay.
gonna give away the whole. I mean, every scene and every single movie.
So Mark says, I love kung fu martial arts actions soft, but the misses, I don't know. Will women who love rom-com and love stories watch it? If the missus has somewhat of a love for action, she will enjoy this because there is a lot of love story that takes place in this show.
There's definitely some.
That's why I said that I thought that the storyline was so phenomenal because in a lot of kung fu martial arts movie, the storyline actually takes a back seat to the martial arts. And so sometimes the storyline is not really even a focus. It's really more so where I feel like in this show, the martial arts and the storyline are both a major focus. So you equally get it delivered so eloquently that none of it misses. And I mean, I personally as a woman love it. But again, I'm a little biased because I love martial arts.
I like it because it has the martial arts. The martial arts is not it's not like B level, fighting scenes. You're not seeing
this shit is top notch.
It's top notch. You're not seeing cable suspended aerial, trips across the sky from one building to one building. You're not seeing guys, walk across walls and do all these types of crazy martial arts things that we all know in martial arts movie that we all love, because they're above the top. We're talking about some legit on the ground combat martial arts that you would see, in a martial arts studio or like in a martial arts, championship fighting match. Along with swords and just gore and blood and just so much like detail, like mouth, teeth busting, bone breaking, swords through the skulls. I mean, just but
it's done so like it's almost like it's like a ballet. It's done so like with such. I can't even think of the right word, but it's just done. It's executed so beautifully. Like there's nothing about it that ever makes me feel like, oh, that was kind of choppy. It's just done so. And then, wait, hang on 1 second. So Hector's asking us if we have seen Snake Eyes, and no, we haven't. And I do know that the lead actor that plays Assam, Andrew, is one of the main actors in the G.I. Joe movie Snake Eyes, and I haven't seen it. And I'll be 100% honest. It got really bad reviews, and I have yet to watch it. I haven't made time in my TV film space for it just yet because there's some other movies that I have pending. I will eventually make it to see that because I am a huge G.I. Joe Snake Eyes fan. But what I will say is there's another actor in this show, Warriors, Joe Talisman. And if you're a martial arts fan, he's from the Raid Redemption series. He's the fucking man. And he also plays Sub-Zero in the most recent Mortal Kombat, which unfortunately the movie was somewhat of a disappointment. But his acting as Sub-Zero was phenomenal for me.
And Paola says,
Oppenheimer is saying she's waiting for the waiting for the controversy. Yeah, you missed the controversy.
You missed the controversy
before you signed on.
We were talking about the Wyckowski sisters, brothers who trans into sisters, and now transitioned into sisters, right?
Yeah, I know. But
did I fuck up again?
No, you just said trans into sisters.
They trans into sisters, and then now one of them is married to a woman who is transitioned into a man. And so, and just remember, it's drinks with a splash of controversy.
Yeah,
so
splash.
You're a splash.
You missed the splash.
Yeah, we're not riding controversy, throughout the whole stream. But thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you, tuning into the stream. So, if I had to give an example, and I'm going to give this example because I want to say that this show really connects with the way that the action scenes pan out in Warriors, and it's one of the most popular shows that I would only think that most people have seen, right? And that's Game of Thrones. So think about the fighting scenes in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And if any of you guys have ever seen the fighting scenes in Game of Thrones, I mean, they're no, like Mark said, not low budget. Game of Thrones was not a low budget series. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was top notch, and I feel like that they put that type of budget. It was
the biggest budget TV show in all history.
Right. So when you think about the fight scenes and you think about the way the camera angles and the way that that they executed people getting stabbed and punched in the face and the way that the scenes were so like immersed into the fighting scene, this is what Warriors brings to HBO Max.
And Mark, yes, you're correct. There is no low budget, unbelievable shit.
Yeah.
Like everything looks so fucking believable.
Yeah.
There's nothing low budget about this. And there's an aspect in it of transition of language in the show that fucking blew my mind.
Right.
That I would just implore everyone to go and watch this show. In addition to that, what I thought was really interesting about this show is the fact that back in the late 1800s, the beginning or in the 19th century, the Chinese exclusion was real. The Chinese Exclusion Act, which is part of the storyline in this show, is when the city of San Francisco got the president at the time in 1882 to suspend Chinese immigration into the United States for 10 fucking years.
Right, because the beef was that deep. But you know what? I thought you're getting a little bit ahead of the storyline. Mm-hmm. So in this show, the Chinese gangs they immigrate. The Chinese gangs they immigrate to California, San Francisco, and then you have the Irish who are residents and locals at that time. All of a sudden, start losing their jobs to cheap Chinese labor. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of these big companies that all of a sudden are hiring these Chinese people because they're willing to work for pennies, which is obviously, increased profits margins for companies.
Kind of sounds like a current state of times for us
right now. Yes,
it
definitely sounds like it. Just rinse and repeat, current state of time. So what ends up happening is that this tension starts to build in San Francisco between the Irish, who are, politically connected, and then you have the Chinese who also have political connections as well, and who are now all of a sudden not only are they dominating with their gangs and their criminal activity, and they're dealing drugs, and there's just a whole storyline behind that, but they're also dealing with this tension that's going on between races, and the way it unfolds in the show is just classic because it's based on a true story.
Yeah, it's loosely based on true story.
Loosely based on a true story.
I mean, obviously, but the Hatchet Men did really exist, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So
and Mark, no, there are no subtitles, even though Evo and I watch it with subtitles on, because sometimes when the Irish people step in, the language is so authentic, and the accents are so authentic that sometimes some of the words are a little bit hard to decipher. But it also could be that I'm getting a little old and sometimes it's hard for me to follow. Yeah. So I actually enjoy watching things with subtitles. That's just my preference. But there are no Chinese to English subtitles. So you're not going to be watching it that way. But there is a way that they transition the language. And you'll see it in the first couple episodes. That when I tell you they did it in the way that they pan the camera, I was like, whoever the fuck is directing this shit knows what the fuck they're doing. Excuse my language, but at the same time, I get so excited about this kind of stuff because I remember when I asked Evo, and I introduced this show to Evo, and I remember when I asked him to watch it with me, he was like, what the hell is this show? And I was like, listen, I read about it. It says it's this. Let's give it a shot. And when I tell you that we literally looked at each other after the first episode and we're like,
next.
And the other thing about the show that I think is so phenomenal is that at the end of every episode, you get to hear music, and it's, to my understanding, it's Chinese rap. Right. And I'm not 100% sure if it's just Chinese rap, but because the show is about, the Chinese people in San Francisco, I would think that it is. However, it could be an array of different Asian background, but it's always rap. And some of the songs are so fucking fire that I'm like, this show don't miss.
Right. It kind of reminds me of Insecure. So Insecure, and again, it doesn't surprise me because it's still in the HBO house of shows. Okay. But at the end of Insecure, they always introduced a new artist, something that you never heard before, but something that was up and coming and that was dope. And I loved watching that show for that because at the end you always got this nice surprise of new music that you had no clue existed, but you definitely enjoyed. And so they're doing that with this show, The Warriors. Interesting fact.
Yeah, I think I was either you were gonna say it or I was gonna say it, but I know what you're about to say. Tell me.
There's a character in the show called a toy, and she's a mistress of a brothel,
Yes, Mark, Issa Rae, correct.
Yes, Issa Rae. Absolutely, yeah, great.
Yeah.
Another great show though. If you guys haven't seen that, go get caught up on that one, because that's another good one.
So, tell me again. I'm sorry. So, one of the main
So one of
characters
the-
in the show,
one of the main
a toy.
characters is in the show. Her name is a toy. She's a madam at a brothel, right? So that's part of the Chinese Chinatown community. Is there's this brothel where a lot of the men go, a lot of the gangs go, a lot of people go, even the
Political
leaders, they go there for their little yellow fever Asian taste of women. And come to find out that the character Ochoy is based on a real person.
A toy.
A toy. I don't know why I say Ochoy. The character Ochoy is based on a real person. It's based on a famous wealthy madam in San Francisco. In the beginning of the gold rush, she was one of the Chinese women in the city, and supposedly she was the first Chinese prostitute in California.
So that plays into this. I don't want to get too much into it, but that's how they created one of the other characters in the show.
Okay.
If you understand what I'm trying to say. So a toy actually winds up coming in contact with a wealthy madam. So that's how they developed those two characters.
Gotcha.
I'm all about girl power. I will forever always be about girl power. So any show that has an aspect of girl power, and what I mean by girl power is women that are in shows or films that they are true to who they are as women, but they kick ass and fucking take names. And when I tell you a toy is that bitch,
She's that bitch.
in Warriors, when I tell
And
you,
she gets a Padawan.
oh yeah, and yo. One of the first scenes that I see a toy, like, and what I love about her is that she wears these exotic fucking
Oh my
flamboyant
God, yes.
outfits, but then at the same time she's like, the fuck you say? She was like, do you know who I am? I will fucking chop you up into
what's
little
funny?
bits.
Is that
She's so badass.
they introduce her in the show as a madam at a brothel, and for quite a few episodes that's all you see of her.
Mm-hmm.
And then a situation arises where she has to
She has to defend herself.
she has to defend herself. And let me tell you something, she's way more than just a madam, right? I'm gonna just leave
For
it at that. Like, she brought something over from China, and she tried to leave it at China and become a whole nother person, but it ended up being where she had to bring that person out. Let me tell you something, yo.
So Melissa says Big Trouble in Little China was in the Chinatown in San Francisco.
Okay.
I thought it was so interesting to find out that the tongs really did exist back in the late 1800s. In the early 19th century. The late 19th century. I stand corrected.
The late 1870s.
Yeah. So, but that would also be the late 19th century.
Yes.
So I was so interested to find out that this whole tong dynamic really did exist. There were rival Chinese gangs. And to then also find out that there was something that was real, that was the Chinese Exclusion Act. Could the level of racism and the level of racism and the level of hatred towards other cultures from white America still continues to blow my mind every day. I seem to always find out new pieces of information of ways that people that came to this country, white Americans that immigrated to this country from either Ireland or, British, wherever it may be, the atrocities that they did to natives or other immigrants fucking blows my mind.
Yeah.
I always feel like I learned something new, and like, I hate to say this, but it's like they're always the common denominator.
I think that's where things get a little controversial.
Well, I mean, listen, we're here to talk shit. This is Talk Shit Fridays, and I'm not even, and what I'm talking is not bullshit. It's real shit.
They brought it up in the show. I mean, there was one point where there's a main character. He's part of the Irish community, and he's expressing his feelings to the one of the Chinese characters that they don't belong here. And he literally asked him. He was like,
"Where did you come from?"
Where did you come from? And he, and the Irish man's answer to that was,
my people forged this country.
Yeah, they forged this country and blah blah blah, and all this stuff. So I guess there's a sense of entitlement that they have because I guess they were here first. Well, not they weren't. They weren't here first. They came over, took over, and then created the revolution. I guess they were the movement of what America has become today, through bloodshed and slavery.
They were part. I mean, I would say that the Irish were not as prominent as the British in coming to America. I think they were a large part of it.
Right.
But yes, I always find it interesting because at one time the Irish were the immigrants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but every time I hear these stories about these type of racism driven stories, the dynamic, the common denominator is always some sort of white descendant person.
Yeah.
And I never understand where this shit comes from. Like, what makes people that came to a country that was not originally theirs to think that it's okay for them to exclude other people that want to come to a country that is also not theirs either. You know what I mean? Like, the only people that I think that could potentially say we don't want people from another country to be here are the Native Americans. He's up there.
Come here, buddy.
Our other kitty cat is
Come here, buddy.
he wants to get out, that's why.
Come here. Come here.
So I never really understand that dynamic.
Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here.
And ladies and gentlemen, let's just be clear. This cat only listens to Evo.
Come here.
And when I tell you I begged for this cat, he does not listen to anybody but Evo.
He just came over here to tell me, so he's like hoping I let him out. He wants to go out. There we go. What's up, buddy? So could we not recommend this show? I mean, listen, this show may not be for you if you're not an avid fan of martial arts. If you're not willing to sit down and enjoy someone getting stabbed in the face and getting their teeth knocked the fuck out, and with some beautiful lovemaking in between, this show is not for you. But if you're all about that shit, go press play right after you get off this live. And I think someone said it later. I think someone said it earlier in the show. This is binge worthy, 1,000%, 110%.
Like, we actually paused another show that we watch, which is C on Apple TV, which just re-premiered. The new episode came out. We put that shit on hold so that we could watch fucking Warriors. We were like, nah, we're not gonna watch that right now.
So definitely a must see for sure.
And Optimistically Cynical, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Wow, it's actually I feel like sometimes I'm always like, do we have are we gonna be able to talk this much? And then I'm like, holy shit, it's 9:07. And this cat right now, you can't see her on the screen, but if people were to see her, she is like,
Kylo's just kind of blending into my outfit here.
He like blends into your clothes right now, which I think is pretty awesome. But at the same time, I'm hella jealous. And then Corey says, I'll definitely be watching it.
Yeah.
Corey, welcome to the stream. Corey's not gonna regret it because Corey, I want to potentially speak for her and say that she also loves things with an action aspect in it, because she actually put me onto Titans on HBO, which I'm fully caught up with, that I was just watching this afternoon, which is a DC show, and it has the same aspect.
Wait until you see your toys outfits, you're gonna love it.
And I think coming from one makeup artist to the other, I think you will appreciate some of the beautiful makeup that is executed in this show.
You did make mention of
multiple times. I talk about the makeup and on the aspect of beauty and special effects makeup. I think that they do a stellar job on the special effects makeup, because a person that has experience in TV and film, I know what it takes sometimes to put blood, and as easy as it may look, or a bruise or a cut, it looks so effortless, but when I tell you, it is some of the most complicated shit to do. And to go even a little bit deeper, even to get the right color of blood, because blood is different colors at different states of time. So For example, if blood is dried for a day or for a couple of hours, it's a little bit darker. If blood is fresh, it's a little bit more orange. So like when there's a fight scene or someone has a bruise or like a scar that's healed, there's different aspects of that you have to put into place. So when I tell you I salute that makeup department on beauty and special effects, that is like my dream, to be on that type of show where someone gets to execute all those different types of facets of makeup.
Yeah, well, they'll be lucky to have you.
Oh, you're so cute. I love you. Let me just read here real quick. And then so good. Corey is concurring with me that she does like those type of shows, which I feel like, again, I just feel like it's also about that type of girl power, because in Titans there is that aspect of girl power. And if you're caught up on Titans, my girl Starfire, who's played by Anna Diop, her sister's just been introduced, Blackfire, and the two of them right now are kicking ass in that show, and I'm like all for this storyline. And then Optimistically Cynical says, if you don't understand why white Europeans feel they deserve North America, you should read, I can't see that main comp. It'll give you some clarity. I appreciate that. It certainly helped me along the way. I 100% appreciate that. And real quick, I'm gonna step off because I need to let our cat out, because it may be a World War IV in our basement right now.
So Corey says, "I'm sold. I'm watching it after this." LOL. Yeah, I'm telling you that if any of you have not watched this, let this be the one thing that you do after this show. At least catch an episode, and I guarantee you the hook is gonna sink in. And Corey also says, you guys are so excited. Oh, thank you, Corey. We appreciate that. We love doing this. We love hanging out with you guys. We love having drinks. It almost makes us feel like it actually really feels like that we're here with a bunch of people, that's what we love to do. We love to host. We love to hang out.
I don't know about loving to host.
I love to host. I love to host. I love to hang out. I love to just,
I like to hang out. I don't know if I like to host that much.
I love to be
happy.
A lot of
work.
And then when I get happy, I just want to spread that happiness to everybody else.
So we have recently just learned this dynamic about Evo and I. Yeah. We both love to have a good time, but we like to have a good time in very different ways.
Yeah, we do.
Evo is a sharer. He loves to share.
Yeah. Once I get to a level of happiness, I don't want to keep that happiness to myself. I wanna give it away. I want to make everybody else around me happy. And if I have something that I can give to them that'll bring them to that level of happiness, I'm more than willing to share that with them so that they can get there. I don't like being excited and being, in a great place and then like hodling that to myself. I want people to experience that.
And what's your
hodling?
Hodling?
Yeah, it's a term of like holding something and and just holding on to forever and never letting go.
I wasn't sure if you were saying coddling. That's why.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Sometimes you say things funny and my hearing's not that great.
I do say shit funny all the time.
No, I know, but my hearing's not that great because I'm always just like, what did you say? I couldn't hear you.
So Optimistically Cynical says that was a dumb comment. I guess he's referring to one of his previous comments. I'm out. This is certainly a low point in my adult life, finding myself on this channel on a Friday night. All right. Well, you have yourself a good night, my brother. And we hope to see you soon. All right. So
you want to get into the top five for tonight?
moving along into the top five. In
paying respect
and paying homage to the great Morpheus, and more so the actor that played Morpheus, which is Lawrence Fishburne, who unfortunately is not joining us in Matrix 4. We want to pay homage to the top 5 Morpheus scenes quotes.
And let me tell you right now, I saw your list, Evo. One of my favorite quotes is not on this, and that's why when Evo was like, "Yo," Evo was like, "What did you think of the top 5?" I was like, "It's all right." And now you know why I said it's all right, because my favorite quote is not on there.
Really?
Yeah, it's not.
Oh, wow.
And I don't even know if it's so much of a quote. It's basically just something that
it's one of his.
It's one of Morpheus. When I tell you I wanted to be Morpheus,
let's make it an honorable mention.
And I'll tell you right now, I wanted to be Morpheus until they introduced Niobe, because that was Morpheus's love interest. Good fun fact though, Aaliyah was supposed to play Niobe. but then
shit.
she passed away, and then Jada Pinkett Smith took her role.
I did not know
Not
that.
not took her role, but she stepped into the role because Aaliyah was no longer to play it. And I remember reading about Aaliyah to be in the next Matrix. And when I tell you I was fucking ecstatic, because you know how I feel about Aaliyah, to know that like one of my like icons was going to be in the Matrix, which was like one of my favorite movies at the time. And then she passed away, and I was like fucking
Yeah,
devastated.
it's horrible.
But Jada Pinkett Smith, I think, did an amazing job, and she was the love interest of Morpheus in the movie. So I wanted to be Morpheus, but she was just as badass. And you know, again, I'm always about that badass girl shit. So, that's why I did a nod to her tonight.
And Melissa says, I co-sign the fact that evil likes to share and making people feel welcome. Yep, it's embedded in me. Something about the blue pill and the Wonderland. Yeah, so all that is some of the great things that Lawrence Fishburne said.
Lawrence Fishburne
said. I don't know why. I always chop people's names up. I chop a lot of things
Yeah, I
up.
know. I just I'm not even trying to correct you. I'm just trying to have you re-say it, because like,
Yeah, I know.
you know why.
I know why. All right, so coming in at number 5 is this scene right here where he says to Neo. I'm sorry, I just have to align this real quick so that we're not in the way. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth and nothing more. So this scene right here was so meaningful to me because it really kind of like shows that pivotal point where Neo is taking that step into something that he knows is there but doesn't really know it exists. You know, it's a feeling that he's chasing, that it's just in his mind, and he's like kind of living in this existence, but he knows it's not. He's living in it because he has no choice, but he knows that there's something more. And this is that pivoting moment, and Morpheus.
First of all, and the cinematography in that shot is impeccable.
Yeah.
The shot into Morpheus' glasses, when you see Neo through his glasses.
Yes.
Had you ever prior to The Matrix seen that type of shot done?
No.
Never.
Listen, this Matrix alone broke through so many cinematic barriers of the way scenes were shot that it was mind-blowing. I mean, it literally took everything to the next level. But as simple as the shot was, the fact that he delivered this line.
That shot is not simple.
Well, all right.
That shot is actually very complicated.
But there is simplicity in it.
Yes.
Whereas like they're putting you in the seat of Neo.
Yes, and the perspective
of Neo, and you're just looking. So if you're looking at this in like a voyeur perspective, this looks very natural. It looks simple. It looks like something that you recognize. This, it seems like you can identify with this type of shot, and so because it feels so relatable, he delivers that line, and all of a sudden you almost feel like you're Neo. You almost feel like you're about to go into that moment. You feel like you're about to take that red pill.
But that is the whole beauty of the cinematography behind that.
And that's what's so iconic about that line.
And that's why I'm telling you that the cinematography, the setup of that shot is so difficult, because in order to shoot that in that way, you have to be able to angle the camera in a way where the camera's not in the shot.
Right.
But you're still able to visually see Neo in the shot. Now, is it potential that this was done with CGI? Yes. But I have seen many movies where cinematography has played a part in the delivery of the conversation between two people that I find phenomenal. And I have watched films be made, and I see how a conversation is shot and how the camera angle is changed several times so that a person can watch the conversation always happen in the perspective of the person who is actually talking in the direction of the other person that they are having the conversation with, so that you feel like you're having that first person perspective.
Yeah, which is very important.
It's extremely important
to connect with the viewers.
Exactly. It's extremely important, but when I tell you it's extremely tedious to shoot it.
Oh, I bet.
Especially if it's a long.
You don't have to tell me about tedious, all right? You really don't have to tell me about tedious. I'm sorry, and I hate to bring this up, but
I went to film school.
I did.
Here we go.
I did. that was my first passion. Like I honestly, as a kid, when I graduated high school, I wanted to make videos. I wanted to do film. So I went to college, and I went to school for video productions, but that was my first course, was cinematography. And one of our final in the class was we had to go out and we had to film a video. We had to make a video. So I went out, and you had access to camera equipment. There was a whole room of like cameras and tripods and lights and microphones and mic packs and everything, right? So I had access to all the stuff, and all you had to do was sign it out, and they would give it all to you. So I went there and I loaded my car up with everything that I could, and I go out and I'm on like site. I did all my scenes and everything like that, and I sketched out my whole video and how I wanted to film the whole thing, and I went out on every single scene and I shot every video, and I put all this time out there to make these scenes happen. And I went into the studio, I downloaded everything, I edited it, and it was not like you have now where it's just it's just the software is so powerful that you can do so many things. This was not that time. Like I was literally in the studio where you had like all of like the panels, and it was a huge studio, and I spent so much time and effort putting this content together that I got discouraged afterwards. It was like 2 weeks of like filming and editing and planning for a 3-minute video. And to find out that all my classmates, what they did was they did soundtracks to movies.
They did pre-existing footage.
Right. They took footage from movies.
Yeah, and they chopped that shit up.
And they chopped it up, and they put it together with the soundtrack of the movie, and they presented that. Meanwhile, I was the only person that actually went on site and took actual footage and put that footage together with an audio track of a song that I presented, and I made my own music video. And, of course, I got an A, and I was on another level, and I really did have the passion because I was the only one who did something different than everybody else. But that work was just way too much. So, like, respect to people. Like, when I look at these movies, I'm blown away by the amount of effort and time that these directors and the whole everybody they put into this. It's just,
can I be honest, though?
What?
Hearing you tell that story makes me really sad. It makes me sad because it makes me sad that you didn't pursue that. And I'll tell you why it makes me sad. So just hear me out. The reason why I feel some sort of like sadness for you is because at that time, film was not what it is today.
No,
so that being said, you weren't going to have to do all of those things. You were being taught all facets of film. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't have left that and then been a director or been a writer or been a producer or been an editor. Right. You wouldn't have had to leave your school and been the director, the writer, the producer, the editor, the sound person, the hair. Like, you wouldn't have had to play all of those roles, Evo. You could have left that school and decided what felt the best suited for you.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, just
so I'm gonna say that's why it makes me sad to hear that, because I think that you would have been phenomenal in that.
Thank you. Well, but listen, at that time, being so young, I had no idea that was the possibility where I could, I would at some point in the future, I would do a lot less and hone in on more of like a specific craft and have a team around me.
You would find your niche in the industry.
Yeah, I just for lack of experience, I ended up doing something that took so much time and effort for so much little of time of validation that it was such short-lived, that moment of glory, you know what I mean? Like, and I guess maybe had the experience been a little bit different where I would have got a little bit more validation for all that time that I put into it, maybe I would have felt different. But after just like that, it was like all I had was just this little brief moment in class where my video got played, I got acknowledged by my teacher, I got a little bit of an applause from the classroom, and that was it, and we were moving on, and that moment was gone, and I was just like, wow.
Yeah, and that is just the I guess the best way I can identify with that is like how I felt when I started to enter into makeup. Yeah. It's a craft, and you have to hone that craft, Evo. So that was just your entry into that craft. So your recognition, your acknowledgments, and your and your how you felt accomplished was going to be very minimal in the beginning.
It was definitely a lack of just I didn't, you don't know what you don't know. I
Correct.
really did not. I didn't fully understand. All I know is I had a passion for music. I had a passion for videos. Before I went to college, I used to sit there and watch music videos, and I used to imagine myself like shooting these videos. I used to even you know how some people, all right, you know how some people that when they watch a movie, sometimes they can predict what it's about to be said in the movie?
Like me, all the time. Like sometimes I literally am just like, I should just write these scripts.
So I used to be able to predict what the next shot in a video music would be. I used to be able to predict like the next scene.
In the music video?
In a music video, yes.
You said video music.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah.
You're funny.
Oh wait, are you gonna challenge me on that?
I'm not gonna challenge you, but I'm gonna talk to you later about something that you said that I just kind of let slide.
Oh really? No, but you can't do that. You can't do that to me. You need to let me know when I fuck up. That's why I do that to you. Why would you not tell me?
You said before. You said truth. You said fact. You wanted to say fact or fiction, but you said basically you said truth or truth. And you're gonna catch it on the replay.
Really, I love that.
Absolutely.
Why did you call me out on it?
It's just listen. We were just.
No, you need no. I'm saying it right now in the live. If I say something incorrectly, you need to call me out on it.
You got
Please do. And
no
I do that because like sometimes I need to be clear on what you're saying. And it real quick, Edgar, welcome to the stream. You are not late, my sir. You are always on time.
Fashionably late, my brother. It's all good.
So I'm sorry. I feel like we kind of diverted, but like that was number 5, and we like because it's not evil. It's 9:26 now.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, I used to be able to predict what the next scene in the video was. All right.
The next shot.
The next shot.
Yeah.
Right, so coming in at number 4.
And what was the topic again?
This is the Morpheus top 5 Morpheus scene quotes, and this scene right here is. What you know you can't explain, but what you feel, you felt it your entire life. And this is when he's in the fighting scene with him and he's pushing him. And
you brought that up. All I hear is whoop,
yes,
that sound.
Yes, and he's trying to push Neo to let that shit go, to that point where he knows that Neo is more than what he knows he is. And that quote is just it's almost like he knows Neo's thoughts. It's almost like that through the Matrix he's taken a walk inside of Neo's head, and at that moment he pulled a quote out of his own brain, and he said and he made that shit truth. What you're thinking, I know, and you need to go beyond that. And
this is one of my favorite scenes because Mouse, you remember Mouse from the first Matrix? He runs into like the common area and he's like, Morpheus is fighting Neo. And they all go running to watch it in like the Matrix scene. And I'm just like, because it's the first time that we see like, it's not the first time, but it's like, it's not the first time we see action, but it's the first time we see Neo in action.
And you see like a minor breakthrough of Neo in this scene. And again, it's just, these are just they're such simple like scenes, but yet so powerful.
They're super impactful.
Yes, super impactful. And
he's like, oh my god, bro.
And I love this scene. I love this. This is what that moment right there when he's just like, and that thing right there. I mean, I feel like that's a Bruce Lee thing when he's like, and he does that this like that. But for people who don't know who Bruce Lee is, anybody who sees this in a fight, they know that from Matrix when Morpheus did that shit. Like, come on, let's go.
Lawrence Fishburne created an iconic character.
Yes, he did. That
character will go down in history.
Yes. Like
the Matrix and Morpheus will ever be synonymous. Yes. Like people will always know. Yes, Neo, Keanu Reeves for sure. But tell me that like when you think of the Matrix, you immediately don't think of fucking Morpheus and his sunglasses without the I don't even know what you call these, the arms. They were armless and they were just like the spectacles like that rested on his nose with the long leather trench. Come on.
Yes.
I wanted to be fucking Morpheus.
Actually fucked up. That's not the quote from that line.
Okay, great.
So I'm sorry. All right. So the quote from that line is, "Don't think you are, know you are."
Okay, so that's fine.
Right.
That's number 3.
That was number 3. All right. So the quote what I just said was from this scene right here.
Oh my God, Evil's just.
You know why? Because I preloaded this stuff,
It's fine.
and for some reason it got deleted, right? And so this is the scene from this line, from what you know you can't explain, but what you feel it your entire life.
And that's when he takes the red pill for the first time.
And he starts touching shit. And
Yeah.
shit just is all fucking.
And then the liquid goes down his throat.
Yes, and it's like he's all of a sudden experiencing the Matrix.
No, he's experiencing being unplugged.
Yes, sorry.
Because the Matrix is what he was already in.
Right.
He lived in the Matrix.
He lived in the Matrix. So now he's.
It was the first time that he was experiencing what it was like to be potentially outside of the Matrix.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And so again, this is another breakthrough scene for me, because it's just Neo like all of a sudden confirming his suspicions, his thoughts, his beliefs, everything that he's like. I feel like that he's just he knew was real, but could never prove it, and now all of a sudden it's becoming his reality. And there, and once again, Lawrence Fishburne is there to just guide him.
Lawrence Fishburne.
I feel like I said that. I keep saying Lawrence Fishburne, right? Like he's Jewish.
I don't know what you're saying.
Like he's a wine. Like yeah, Lawrence Fishburne, right?
I'm just gonna say to you that the Matrix created a phenomenon in a way where I don't think that the world was prepared for.
No.
Because how many people after this movie did you hear say it's the Matrix?
Yep.
That became part of our language. Talking about things being the Matrix. Like you felt like if there was a glitch in something or something was weird, that shit was the Matrix. Yep. It created a part in our language that didn't exist prior. So go to number 2 for me.
So all right, so coming in at number 2, right, is this scene right here.
I remember this scene very vividly. It's when he's fighting Agent Smith in the subway.
Yes, and
they're watching him. They're watching him through the Matrix.
Through the Matrix, and he says he's beginning to believe.
Because they're reading the code.
And let me tell you something. The hairs all over me stood up.
Because then that's when Neo goes like this. He goes like this, and the dust fucking kicks off of him. He's beginning
it's like, because you know
to
what?
believe.
It's like you were following him on that journey, and everything that he's experiencing is really like confirming his thoughts and his suspicions. And this is that moment. Yeah. This is that moment where he's fighting, and he doesn't really think. At this point, he's really not fully like convinced of who he really is. Mm-hmm. But then, yeah, he crosses that threshold because all of a sudden he feels something, and his actions change, and it becomes something different.
Mm-hmm. And like I personally just feel like that was the point of the movie where you were like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah. So
you were like, "He's the one."
Yo, let me tell you something. At that moment where you could just see him. It's just a moment, and he all of a sudden just switches gears, and you could just feel like he switches Neo. Into like Neo switches into this from like fight to flight mode, and then Lawrence Fishburne is just like he's beginning to believe, and and I'm telling you, everything in my body just went to the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that we recently just rewatched these because I'm such a huge fan of this shit. But that brings us to number 1, and then we're going to say my honorable mention because I was so mind blown that it wasn't on here.
So coming in at number 1.
Number 1
is
top Morpheus scene quote.
No, Morpheus scene quote is the infamous, "You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes." Boom. This was the pivotal moment in Neo's life right here. I mean, like
he said Advil Tylenol.
I can't tell you how many times people have quoted this for whatever situation that they've been in their lives.
Yeah, for real. Red pill or blue pill?
Or blue pill. And I know I've always said I always take the red pill. Always.
I'm doing both.
Yeah.
This is a purple
doing
pill.
A cocktail. I'm a cocktail type of guy. I just mix them up, put them in a cup, and throw it back.
Edgar says, this pic reminds me of Cypress Hill's Insane in the Membrane. And then he also says, the pic reminds me of the Kung Fu movie Return of the 36 Chambers. Yeah, we were actually talking a lot about Kung Fu movies earlier today because honestly, like, this is why we chose to talk about Warriors and The Matrix together, because there's a huge aspect of martial arts in both of these, in this film, in this TV series. And I myself am a huge martial arts fan. I actually am looking into learning how to practice small aspects of wushu in my own home that I've been implementing into my workout regimen. And it's just some of their, like, I guess you would consider them like their warm-up moves.
Right.
You know, like things that they do like this and like the moves like this. Because it like teaches you how to have flow. There's a gentleman that I follow on TikTok. He is in his 60s, entering almost his 70s. He's been practicing wushu since he was in his 8 years old. This man, when I tell you, he moves like he's 20 years old and he's about to enter his 70s soon. Inspires me. So like, I believe that there's a real strength in martial arts. It's a defense of it's the practice of how to defend yourself with your own body, which I think there's beauty in that.
Martial arts period is just there's beauty in all of it.
And Edgar says Sudafed or NyQuil.
Yo,
actually.
for real.
So the honorable mention, which Evo which is my favorite quote from the entire Matrix trilogy.
You know what, there was a lot. Like
and it's a Morpheus quote.
Yes,
that's the thing. It's when he's trying to get Neo to jump, and he turns and he looks at Neo and he goes, "Free your mind." Yes. And he just fucking jumps. And I remember being in the movie theater like, what the fuck did I just watch happen?
So that was your favorite?
That was because I'm going to tell you why that was my favorite. You know what type of person that I am. I'm all about being open-minded. I'm all about the occult, the things that people consider dark and weird. And I always say that, like, I'm more drawn to people that have an open mind. So when he tells Neo to free his mind, he's telling him, you're already unplugged, but you're still allowing your mind to be in that fucking world. Free that shit.
All of these quotes are about him trying to get Neo to open his mind.
Of course, but the way when he turns to him and he looks at him and he goes, free your mind, and then he just fucking launches.
It is a unique quote because it's when he's trying to get him to fly.
Yes.
And that
he's trying to get him to understand that he can defy
gravity. Anything. Yes. And so, but in that particular moment is him leaping, doing aerial leaps that are beyond human capabilities.
Correct.
And so, which we would consider flying. I mean, that's literally flying.
Yeah, he was trying to get him to be fucking Superman.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Listen, that actually brings us to the end of the live. I cannot wait for this movie to come out.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm actually going to rewatch all of the Matrix movies again because
let's do it.
When I did a little bit of research into like understanding the last movie, I'll be honest, there is some aspects of the Matrix, the second one, Revolutions, and I forget the title of the third one, that kind of evade me. There's some aspects of it, like the architect, the Oracle, and like his dynamic with the machines and like Agent Smith. Like there's some aspects of it that like I get a little lost in, but from rewatching it, I understood them a little bit more. But I will rewatch them again so that when I step in to watch The Matrix 4 Resurrections, I totally understand it. Which is also interesting to me because Alien 3 was called Resurrection. Ripley was actually resurrected. And that's a whole nother.
Yeah, you loved that Alien series. I liked it, but it wasn't like really like a staple for me.
Excuse me. And then Hector says you should watch Legend of the Eight Samurai, good old school movie. Well, Hector, I could recommend a couple movies for you. If you're into Kung Fu, I'm a huge Once Upon a Time in China fan with Jet Li. Him and oh my God, I forget the name of the actor. It's Once Upon a Time in China 2, I believe, where he has a fight with a very, oh God, what is the name of this actor? It's one of the best fighting scenes that I've ever seen in my whole life. In addition to that, if you are another big martial arts fan, Bak. Holy shit. There's a fight scene in that movie where he has a fight with a guy who does capoeira. Do you remember Bak? It's the guy that he fights for his village because they're trying to take the elephants. Yeah. Fuck, the scene that he has where he fights in fire with the other guy that does capoeira, that shit blew my mind. And last but not least, one of my favorite martial arts movies of all time, but it's an anime, Ninja Scroll, which I watched for the first time in 1994. When I say that shit blew my fucking mind, still to this day, I think that movie still holds weight.
Well, for me, at the top of my list, you may not agree. But this movie right here, strong. It's Kung Fu Hustle.
Eva, I 1,000% agree with you.
If any of you have not watched Kung Fu Hustle, please do yourself a favor. All right, it is not your typical martial arts movie.
No, but it still plays severe homage.
And what I'm saying by it's not your typical martial arts movie is that it pays severe homage to martial arts, but it brings an comedic twist to it that you would thoroughly enjoy.
But it's still done so
respectfully to martial arts.
I can't even explain the dynamic of that movie.
It just has this comedic storyline to it that is it's a perfect blend of comedy and martial arts. Like you will be thoroughly satisfied if you love comedy and you love martial arts. This is.
But it also has a phenomenal storyline.
And it has a lot of phenomenal storyline. And thank you for joining us, Real Estate Lady. We appreciate you coming in. And yes, Kung Fu Hustle, we love it.
Oh, and I appreciate you saying that we're amazing. We really strive to give our audience the best show that we can possible. Evo and I are by no means writers. We're just shooting off the fucking. We're just fucking shooting off the hip. Yeah. And we're doing this because we love to do this. We enjoy being here with you every Friday. But that actually brings us to the end of the live for tonight. I hope you enjoyed our show.
Yes.
Tune in with us next Friday where we have another show for you. Don't know what the fuck it is right now because shit just be popping off at the beginning of the weekend. But yes, please join us every Friday live at 8 p.m. We'll be here with you next Friday, but we actually will be absent the following Friday, which is September 24th. We are celebrating our son's birthday, but next Friday we will be here with you. And we thank all of you for joining us tonight. We had such a great time with you. I hope you enjoyed our show. We enjoyed being with you. Hope you had a nice glass of something with you this evening. But until next Friday, peace out.
Peace out.